Alzheimer's is a scary disease because most people think there's nothing you can do to prevent it or to slow it or maybe even reverse the symptomatic change that it causes. And until recently, we haven't had a randomized controlled trial investigating whether we can do that naturally. But today I'm happy to share with you a study by the amazing Dr. Dean Ornish that shows intensive lifestyle change improves mild cognitive impairment and early onset dementia associated with Alzheimer's disease. And so, as you may have intuited, lifestyle matters in this chronic disease just like it does in every other chronic disease that we know of and that's been studied. So as we've talked about in the past, just because there's not research confirming that lifestyle impacts a disease doesn't mean that it doesn't. It just means that it hasn't been published yet or doesn't receive research funding. But I'm not surprised by this, but I'm excited to see it published because now, we have some peer-reviewed published research to support what we already know. So those who say, well, that's not scientific, now we can show it to them. So I'm excited to share that paper with you today because according to the World Health Organization in 2023, dementia was the number 7 killer worldwide. And so this is a big time problem that we all probably have experienced within our immediate family or at least with somebody we know. And it's scary because not so much for the person that develops the disease because they don't even know they have it eventually, right? They don't remember their family members or where they are or things like that. But it's a killer, it's a killer physically to that person, but it's a killer to the caretakers and the family to lose their loved one and watch them, you know, decline mentally. And so if there's something we can do, we want to do that. And if there's something you could do right now, hopefully you want to do that. So this message today is uplifting because it is not genetic. You're not damned to it. There's genetic contribution, but even in those with genetic contributions, you can take action to prevent it and or slow it. So let's dive into that study. Here's the study in the journal Alzheimer's Research and Therapy. This is 2024, hot off the press. And what you'll notice here is the first author is Dr. Dean Ornish. And Dr. Ornish is world renowned for his research on lifestyle and working for lifestyle interventions and their positive impact on cancer, specifically prostate cancer. He's renowned for lifestyle change in atherosclerosis and heart disease. And now he will be renowned for lifestyle change with mild cognitive impairment and dementia. And so this is a big time publication by a big time researcher. And I'll just give you a little background on him. He became famous with his research on prostate cancer and showing that lifestyle interventions create epigenetic change in prostate cancer. And what that is by changing your diet, exercising, sleeping, meditating, supplementing, all the lifestyle factors that we talk about every week and work with every day. He implemented with prostate cancer patients and found that over 283 genes change their expression due to the lifestyle input. So due to changing your lifestyle, you literally change how your genes are expressed and determine whether that's moving your health in a positive direction or a negative direction. He showed the same thing with atherosclerosis and heart health, and this paper is showing it with dementia and Alzheimer's risk. So we will dive in, and we're going to come back to this page later, but we'll start up here. Increasing evidence links lifestyle factors with the onset and progression of dementia, including Alzheimer's disease. So right there, that first sentence is stating what we already intuitively know is that the choices we make every day in our health as regards to what we eat, whether or not we get moving, whether we're going to go to bed on time and sleep long enough, whether we're going to expose ourselves to physical, chemical, emotional, spiritual stressors, all of the things, the choices related to those lifestyle factors will influence our heart risk, our prostate cancer risk, our dementia risk. The Lancet, which is one of the top respected research journals in the world, had a commission on dementia prevention, intervention, and care that listed 12 potentially modifiable risk factors that together account for an estimated 40% of the global burden of dementia. So the Lancet, one of the top medical research journals in the world, says there's 12 potentially modifiable risk factors. Why does that matter? Well, modifiable means we can change it. We can choose to change it. And if we change those 12 things in a positive way, we could positively impact 40% of the global burden of the number 7 killer. That's pretty impressive. Many of these factors, which include high blood pressure, smoking, depression, type 2 diabetes, obesity, physical inactivity, and social isolation, are also risk factors for heart disease and other chronic illnesses. These include chronic inflammation, oxidative stress, insulin resistance, sympathetic nervous system hyperactivity, which is what stress does, and telomere shortening. Telomeres, when they shorten, we're literally aging. Okay, so telomeres are how we can measure aging in an individual. If we shorten telomeres, we're aging. If we lengthen them, it's anti-aging. So we can do these things. And, how are all these things connected to all these chronic diseases? Well, they're fundamentals. The less inflamed we are, the less risk we have for any chronic disease, whether it's dementia, heart disease, prostate cancer, diabetes, etc. The healthier we are, the less risk we have for all those. So we want to be healthy, and nothing has more influence on your health than the choices you're making every day. And so, for example, relevant to Alzheimer's disease, one large study of adults 65 and older looked at the risk of developing Alzheimer's disease and found that it was 38% lower in the adults that ate higher amounts of vegetables, and they had a 60% lower risk of Alzheimer's if they ate omega-3 fatty acids or consumed them at least once a week. Whereas consuming saturated fat and trans fats doubled their risk of Alzheimer's. So, taking your fish oil and eating your veggies, big time reduced risk of Alzheimer's disease. The multifactorial cause and mix of Alzheimer's suggests that multi-domain lifestyle interventions may be more effective than single domain ones for reducing dementia. And so what that means is doing multiple lifestyle changes across domains. So not just nutrition, that would be a single domain change. Multi-domain would be, I'm going to change my nutrition, I'm going to change my exercise, I'm going to change my sleep, etc. So again, the more whole picture you address it, the better outcomes you get. Because everything is not nutrition, okay? In the US and Western culture, we're very nutrition focused and supplement focused. Like, hey, just tell me the diet to eat and what supplements to take and I'll be fine. And those things definitely matter, right? But they're not the only thing. So if you only change your nutrition or only change your vitamins, but you stay sedentary, you keep smoking, you stay up late and don't sleep well, and you stay stressed, you're not going to get better. Okay, so we want to affect it in multi-domain or as many different areas as we can to give ourselves the best shot to be as healthy as possible. So this study that we're talking about today looked at 51 Alzheimer's disease patients with an average age of 73 and a half. Okay, so call it 74 years old just for easy communication. So they're looking at 51 Alzheimer's patients, average age 74, and they wanted to see how does intensive lifestyle change impact the progression of mild cognitive impairment, which is like the step before early dementia due to Alzheimer's. So how does lifestyle change impact progression of mild cognitive impairment or early dementia due to Alzheimer's? So we're looking at 51 74-year-olds roughly. Okay, and what they did was they implemented lifestyle change for 20 weeks to see, can we change this? Okay, so what'd they do? Well, they changed their diet, of course, and the diet that they implemented was a whole food, minimally processed, plant-based diet high in complex carbs. So complex carbs are fruit, veggies, whole grains, legumes, soy seeds, and nuts. especially low in harmful fats, sweeteners, and refined carbohydrates. There's approximately 18% fat, 18% protein, and 63% complex carbohydrates, and calories were unrestricted. So the study group did not have to count their calories. They were just going for a certain macromolecule division, protein, carbs, fats, and then they were focused on what their food was made up of. So yes, they ate 63% carbohydrates, but it was mostly complex carbs, which are the healthy ones: fruits, veggies, nuts, seeds. Okay. What was cool about this study is they didn't just tell them, here's how you should eat and go do it. This study controlled exactly what they ate, which is awesome, because if you don't control what they eat, asking the patient or the intervention group to report back to you what they ate based on memory or a food journal oftentimes is not that reliable. You know, if you say why, well, ask yourself, what did I eat 7 days ago? Do you remember? No, I don't. So what they did to control for that was they supplied the meals and the supplements for the whole length of the study, okay, which was 40 weeks. And so they gave each study participant 21 meals a week and snacks plus the supplements. So they provided it all to them every week, and they weren't allowed, and they gave it to them for free. So there was no financial issue with people dropping off because they couldn't afford what the study wanted them to eat anymore. And it was the only food that they ate. So they provided them everything they ate, all the supplements they took for the whole study. And that way, that's the controlled part. And that way we know what they ate, know what diet made the changes, what macro breakdown made the changes. And that way we can more confidently say, hey, if we follow this nutrition, that was a component of the totality of the lifestyle changes that contributed to these positive results. As far as exercise, if you want to preserve your brain, how should you exercise? Well, here we go. They had these study participants walking at least 30 minutes a day. And so, what have we talked about many times? Zone 2 aerobic exercise, 30 minutes a day. Well, here's what they did this in the Alzheimer's patients. Walking 30 minutes a day plus mild strength training exercise at least 3 times per week. So walking every day, getting your zone 2 every day, doing strength 3 times a week at least. And mild strength, you don't have to go set world records, okay? But you do want to stimulate those muscles. Patients were given a personalized exercise prescription based on age and fitness level. Boom, personalized, individualized, and specific. That's my mantra at Functional Medicine Charlotte. We want to be individualized and specific. Make a plan specific for the person in front of us, not necessarily a cookie cutter protocol, okay? So exercise needs to be done. How should I do it to preserve my brain? There it is. Stress management. They were doing meditation, gentle yoga poses, stretching, progressive relaxation, breathing exercises, and imagery for 1 hour per day. This was supervised by a certified stress management specialist so that they knew it was happening and they were doing it right, versus the participants just saying, yeah, I did my meditation today and didn't. Okay. Patients had the option of using flashing light glasses at a theta brainwave frequency, plus soothing music to aid in the meditation and insomnia. So the theta wave is the restorative recovering brainwave that helps heal the brain and occurs during sleep often. Group support. They went to a support group for 1 hour session 3 days a week, and that's to address the social isolation component that many elderly have. Social isolation has been shown in the research to be as dangerous or more dangerous than being obese or smoking cigarettes. So as we age, we don't want to be socially isolated, because that is as unhealthy as other unhealthy lifestyle choices. They also received a book with memory exercises, and that's important because what happens in Alzheimer's, the hippocampus degenerates, and that's the part of the brain that's dealing with memory, and we want to preserve memory. Just like your muscles, you use it or you lose it, the brain's the same way. So if you're not practicing memory, exercises, you're going to lose it. And so in a world of cell phones and computers and technology that remembers everything for us, we're no longer good at memorizing phone numbers or people's names or things we used to remember, have to remember, or write down and keep in our wallet, pre-2002 or whenever cell phones hit. So you want to use it or you lose it. So remember, even if you don't have Alzheimer's and you're on this call, make it a goal to memorize your spouse's phone number, all your kids' phone numbers, and maybe your two closest friend phone numbers. That'll help keep the brain healthy for you. What supplements did they implement to preserve the brain health and help address dementia? Omega-3 fatty acids with curcumin. Okay, you saw they quoted a study above that those 65 and older that got more omega-3 fatty acids had a 60% reduced risk of developing Alzheimer's. Well, this study, not only did they use omega-3 fatty acids as a supplement, but they used it from a good company that makes quality products. That's important because I've made videos in the past. Earlier this year, I made a video on a study that used a multivitamin that showed that taking a multivitamin every day slowed the memory loss in the elderly by 3 years or more. And the multivitamin they used in the study was the garbage vitamin Centrum Silver. Okay, but even with that junk vitamin, they got those good results. And I said, well, what if they'd used a good vitamin from a good company? It'd probably be even better. Well, Dr. Ornish knows good nutrition, so they were using good companies here, and that's exciting. The omega-3 they used came from the company Nordic Naturals. The specific one, they gave you the name. It's Pro Omega CRP, and the dose was 4 capsules a day. And they say here, in those with age 65 or older, consuming omega-3 fatty acids once a week or more had a 60% lower risk of Alzheimer's. That's what we saw above as well. So that's how much you should take if you're trying to copy this study from omega-3 standpoint. A vitamin and mineral, they took 1 a day of a Solgar brand. I would recommend Biotics Research Pro Multi Plus, but not Centrum Silver, something more quality than that. Coenzyme Q10, they were taking 200 milligrams a day from Nordic Naturals again. Vitamin C, 1 gram a day. B12, 500 micrograms a day. Magnesium L-threonate, 144 milligrams a day. Lion's mane is a medicinal mushroom. They were taking 2 grams a day of that. And then Super Bifido Plus probiotic, they took 1 a day. And so, why do we need all these? Well, the multi, we already talked about the recent study that came out showing that slows aging. CoQ10, or aging of the brain. CoQ10 is key for energy production. The brain needs to make energy just like any other part of your body. And so we want to have healthy mitochondria in the brain so we can do that. Vitamin C promotes, works against age-related decline. B12 is key for the myelin production of the neurons in the brain. So if you don't have enough B12, you can have unhealthy neurons, and unhealthy neurons are linked to Alzheimer's pathology. Magnesium deficiency is a risk for Alzheimer's disease. CDC research suggests 46% of Americans are deficient in magnesium. Lion's mane promotes healthy cognition and function in people older than 50. And then the probiotic is key for gut health, and through gut-brain, brain-gut loops that can impact Alzheimer's disease and brain health there. So those are the supplements that this study used in addition to the nutrition, the exercise, the stress management, the group support to go after the changes they're looking for. And so their primary outcome measures, how did they know that these patients improved? Well, they were using validated research outcome measurements like the clinical global impression of change score, the clinical dementia rating score, the clinical dementia rating global. These are different validated questionnaires that measure cognitive health and function as we age. And so they wanted to see these scores improve, or if they would improve. And then they also, as a secondary outcome, followed blood work and gut health. And one of the blood work markers that they followed was called the beta amyloid 40-42 ratio. And they followed that because one of the most highly researched and cited papers on the internet, it discusses that beta amyloid accumulation in the brain is one of the key pathologic processes in Alzheimer's disease development. And so the ratio of beta amyloid plaques is key in helping understand who has Alzheimer's and who doesn't, or helping pick out who does. So everyone in this study had one that was too low, which is bad. And so they wanted to follow that in the blood and see, as we implement lifestyle changes, does it go up? Do they clear, do they take beta amyloid out of the brain and add it to the blood so that it can be excreted? Here it is. All of the 49 patients had plasma beta amyloid ratios less than this number, strongly supporting the diagnosis of Alzheimer's. So if we can get that number up, we're doing well for those patients. So what happened? Well, you can see when you look at these two boxes, a downward trend is healthy. And the intervention group had a reduction in these two questionnaires, whereas the treatment group went up. So the control group, the treatment group went down or improved, their brains got healthier. The control group, which was not doing lifestyle change, they were just getting standard medical care for dementia, they got worse. Okay, so again, what's that tell you? Standard care, you get worse. Lifestyle change, you get better. Why would you get worse on standard care? Well, because the paradigm of conventional medicine is dementia is a progressive neurodegenerative disease. There's nothing you can do about it. Let's put them in hospice until the end. Whereas if we're trying to change lifestyle, we're taking the stance that we believe there is something you can do about it. So let's test that. And the test is showing, hey, our suspicions appear correct. So let's keep doing lifestyle. We found statistically significant correlations between the degree of lifestyle change for 20 weeks and the degree of change in many of the key biomarkers, as well as correlations between lifestyle change and these changes in the markers. So basically, the more intense you change your lifestyle, the better change we saw in key biomarkers. Pretty intuitive, but again, we want to see it on paper, okay? So we're seeing that. The more intensely they change the lifestyle, the better they saw the beta amyloid ratio improve. The lower they saw the inflammation go, the better their cholesterol looked. The better their ketone levels looked and blood sugar looked. The less tau protein aggregates they had in the brain and other aggregate markers, okay? What happened in the gut? There was significant beneficial change in the gut microbiome in the intervention group, but not in the control group. So again, when we intentionally change our lifestyle to create health for ourselves, and we create a healthy microbiome, which is part of that picture. When you just get standard care, you don't get better. So they list the different bacteria that changed in the microbiome. We don't have to read through that, but basically the good ones that help protect against Alzheimer's increased, the bad ones that increase risk of Alzheimer's decreased. So that's great to see. These results support the hypothesis that the lifestyle intervention may beneficially modify specific gut bugs. Discussion. All right, so we're ending it here, but this is the first randomized controlled trial showing that an intensive multimodal lifestyle intervention may significantly improve cognition and function in many patients with mild cognitive impairment or early dementia due to Alzheimer's. After 20 weeks, okay? Only 5 months, these patients were showing significant change. Someone with Alzheimer's and dementia, early dementia, could live years. Okay, and if you know anyone who's been a caretaker for a patient like that, that's draining on funds, and on life, period, life enjoyment. And ultimately the caretaker's health falls apart. Okay, so changing your lifestyle now, if you can prevent dementia, not only changes your life, but probably changes the lives of those around you who would end up being your caretaker. So you're not only doing it for you, you're doing it for your loved ones as well. What they found was the primary outcomes changed positively. in the treatment group or the lifestyle group, their measures of cognition and function improved, whereas in the control group or the non-treatment group or the standard of care group, they got worse in all of them. One of the most clinically relevant biomarkers is the plasma beta amyloid ratio. Okay, we said when that's low, that's consistent with diagnosis of Alzheimer's. Well, in this lifestyle intervention group, that number went up by 6.4%. It dropped by 8% in the control group after 20 weeks. So the control group, the standard the people only got normal medical care, they got worse, continue to get worse. The people who did lifestyle got better. And they compared that to one of the drugs that they give to help change the beta amyloid. And basically, we found similar results in the direction of change in the plasma beta amyloid ratio for lifestyle intervention in only 20 weeks to what the drug can do. So again, drugs come with side effects and can be dangerous. Lifestyle intervention is much safer. Other clinically relevant biomarkers also showed statistically significant differences. Those included hemoglobin A1C, which is your average blood sugar, insulin, LDL cholesterol, inflammation, etc. So again, this is great to see. Not, if you're sitting in my chair, it's like, well, duh, we expect this. But again, to see it on paper is awesome because now we can show it to patients who maybe aren't as well versed in lifestyle as we are, and so they've never considered that their diet matters in their health, and we can say, yes, it matters greatly, and will do much more for you than the medication they're trying to put you on, potentially. So we found a statistically significant dose response correlation between the degree of lifestyle change in both groups and the degree of change in biomarkers. What that says is the more intensely you change your lifestyle, the better the outcome, the more those blood markers change for you. In short, the more these Alzheimer's patients change their lifestyle in the prescribed ways, the greater was the beneficial impact on their cognition and function. So the more intense you go, the harder you go at it, the better your outcome. Okay? These findings are consistent with earlier clinical trials in which we used the same lifestyle intervention and the same measure of lifestyle index and found dose response correlations between this lifestyle and changes in the degree of coronary atherosclerosis. Okay, so narrowing of the arteries that supply blood to the heart and coronary heart disease, and changes in prostate cancer, like we talked about earlier, and telomere length. So this lifestyle works for Alzheimer's, it works for heart, it works for prostate, it works for anti-aging. Okay, that's what they're saying right there. Boom. Sounding good, sounding safe, sounding relatively inexpensive, You just have to buy your groceries and some workout clothes. Maybe join a group that meditates and does some memory exercises. Extensive lifestyle changes were required to stop or improve cognition and function in these patients. This helps to explain why other studies of less intense lifestyle interventions may not have been sufficient to stop deterioration or improve cognition. So again, that's speaking to the intensity of the lifestyle change. You want to be as intense as possible there. They're saying the lifestyle changes may provide more benefits than the expensive drugs that have adverse effects that they give to these patients typically. So we'll end it up here. Our findings have implications for helping to prevent Alzheimer's disease. Not just wait till it gets there, but let's prevent it. It may take less extensive lifestyle change to help prevent Alzheimer's than to treat it. Okay, so don't wait till you have a diagnosis to change. Change now so you never get the diagnosis. Other studies cited earlier on the effects of these lifestyle changes on diseases such as heart disease support this conclusion. Clearly, intensive lifestyle changes rather than moderate ones seem to be required to improve cognition and function in those suffering from early stage Alzheimer's. So once you get the diagnosis, the longer you wait up until diagnosis time, the more intense your lifestyle change will need to be. If you start now, if you're someone without the symptoms, but maybe a family history of it, start now, and that gives you the best chance to prevent it and never develop it or get the diagnosis. So very powerful research, another feather in the cap of Dr. Dean Ornish, showing that we don't have to be reliant on pharmaceuticals. We just need to make the right choices day in and day out. And the more consistent we can be with that, the longer life we can live without disability and heavy burden on caretakers. So if you're looking for a way to learn what type of lifestyle you need to live, because in this paper they individualized it, well, that's what functional medicine does. And at Functional Medicine Charlotte, that's what we take pride in every day, is creating individualized and specific care plans for people who want to take charge of their health and prevent occurrence of these chronic diseases. So if that's you, reach out at functionalmedicinecharlotte.com.